culture, and to accent that, we've got Anna Harris from the Mardi Gras Museum here on the Gulf Coast. Anna, thanks for coming on Middays.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us about the Mardi Gras Museum. How long has that been in existence?
Well, we have been open since the 1980s.
Okay.
We have been in our current location since 2019.
Okay. And what is your role there?
I'm the executive director.
Okay. All right. So tell us about the exhibits. What can one see when they tour the museum?
Well, we have a lot of wonderful exhibits. We have quite a few Gulf Coast Carnival, Kings and Queens and Maids and Dukes, as well as the Crew of Neptune, which is a big crew here in Biloxi, and many, many other crews. Right now, we're really excited. We have a 100-year centennial exhibition for the crew of
cool.
Low Muscat.
Okay. So I'm assuming that I haven't been. I got to go now. Now that I know about this. So some of the exquisite and extravagant costumes, I'm sure are on display from the years.
Yes, very extravagant costumes. Our oldest one we have out right now is the 50-year reign of Queen Ixella from 1972. We have ones that have just been worn in the past few years with lots of feathers, big mantles.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
And that's part of the spectacle, isn't it? Is the glam of the costumes. It's so cool to see that. It's the kind of the one time we sort of play make-believe and put the costumes on and play like we're royalty, but it's a blast, isn't it? It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's really fun to see all the different themes. So each costume is unique, to each crew each year.
Yeah.
And all the creativity that people put into it is really cool.
What about some of the traditions? This is something I think a lot of people that don't live in the coastal area and the areas where Mardi Gras is observed and celebrated the way it is here on the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, etc. What about some of the traditions such as selecting the king?
Mm-hmm. It's really neat because each crew has its own kind of bylaws that they follow and how they select the king.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it might be the board. Sometimes it's the captain who's like the president of the organization. And there's even one ladies group where they elect their queen from the full membership.
Oh, okay. And it used to be the king cake, right?
Yeah.
That was the original tradition.
Find the baby.
Find the baby. Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, my parents, native New Orleanians, both have long since passed away, said at one time before it was the baby, it was a golden bean.
I think it was a bean, yes. And originally they would put the beans in the cake.
In the dough somewhere, just kind of random. You get whoever got the bean was the king.
That's right. And I think each country kind of has their own traditions too. So like in Germany it was a different king cake, and France is the one that we have today in America.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And it's just a whole lot of fun. So that's another situation that's 3-4 months away, and this place once again is filled up with visitors and tourists to come here for the great Mardi Gras on the Gulf Coast.
It is. It's a wonderful time of year to come, kind of like cruising weather. Yeah. It's gorgeous, and usually Fat Tuesday is about the same.
Yeah.
It's warm, it's beautiful. It's a great time to visit the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
So do you find that a lot of people, when they come for Mardi Gras, also take in the museum?
They do. They love the museum because they get to get a little more of the history. The parade is fun, and obviously that's a great public spectacle.
Yeah.
But this gives them, some background on what the balls are like, the courts, and how we've celebrated, for over 100 years here in Mississippi.
Do you have a favorite exhibit personally?
Oh, it's so hard to pick. Probably my favorite is our education collection, which is a group of costumes people can come in and try on.
Oh.
So, of course, kids love it, but you see people of all ages getting dressed up, taking pictures.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. They really love that.
And, not so much anymore, but I remember as a child, and my parents regularly attended Mardi Gras, being from New Orleans, in New Orleans. But it was traditional back then for families to dress in costumes. Do you remember that? And my mother was a great seamstress, and she would make them for all the family. I mean, like 30 or so costumes. We'd all be the same. And one year I remember being periods, clowns, and that was really cool. But I don't know that it's done so much anymore. But
it's not as much on Fat Tuesday. Here in Biloxi, we have the Children's Marching Parade. The Saturday. Not the weekend of Mardi Gras, but the weekend before that. Okay. And we have a costume contest for children, and people do go all out for that. I would love to see families do it on Fat Tuesday and at the Neptune Parade, and get your friends and come up with the theme and go all out. That would be a really nice thing to bring back.
And it's a shot in the arm for the economy here. Mardi Gras is as well, right?
It's a huge economic boost. Our hotels are filled out. People are throwing parties. They are going to restaurants. All of that really has a huge impact on the economy.
Yeah. What would be the oldest artifact you might have in the museum?
Oh, goodness. We probably have Gulf Coast Carnival costumes going back to maybe the 1950s and 60s. Some of that was lost, unfortunately, in Katrina. Yep. But we have quite a few old costumes, lots of old doubloons and glass beads, which are some of the first beads that were
the glass, right. Yeah. So where do they come from? How do you harvest those? Are families just aware of this and they maybe want to preserve them and give them to the museum for that purpose, so other people can enjoy them?
So people donate. It's a big, important part of your life. You're very attached to these costumes, but what are you going to do with them?
Yeah, exactly.
So you give them to us, and that way they can be enjoyed for generations to come.
And preserved as well. Mm-hmm. So do you continue to collect?
Yeah. We do. We would love to have more rooms so we could take everything, but we try to pick pieces we don't have and build our collection out, especially older pieces and, of course, newer pieces too, just so that we can continue. In 50 years we'll be showing 50-year anniversary.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's interesting when you think about Mardi Gras. Is a very old tradition. It's been around a long time.
Really long time.
Of course, it's rooted in a religious event, which is the first day of Lent. It begins the day after Fat Tuesday. So the idea, the concept was, let's go live it up while we can, because when the clock strikes midnight on Fat Tuesday, that layers over into Lent, and you got to sort of take it easy at that point.
That's right. So the words like carne and carnival are all referring to meat and eating meat before they would be giving it up during Lent.
I didn't know that, actually. Yeah. That's some interesting trivia there. So, and origins in France, I believe, right?
Yes. So Mardi Gras goes back even before France, but the French were the ones who brought it to America, and that's why we call it Mardi Gras, which is a French word for Fat Tuesday. And they, came to Biloxi in 1699.
Right.
Quickly settled down here, and it was obviously important tradition to them in France because they were celebrating throwing parades by 1703 in Mobile.
Yeah. Isn't that something? And of course, Biloxi, as is the case, I think, with and the coast in general, with most coastal communities in our country, you had so many immigrants over the years that came into this country, sought to take up residence in this country, and many of them just really didn't make it too far beyond the coast, which is why we ended up with such melting pot and diverse communities across our coast. And the Mississippi Gulf Coast is no exception there.
Very diverse, and that's what makes it so much fun, and all that diversity comes into Mardi Gras, and we've made it our own here, so it's different than it is in France and in New Orleans and in Mobile. It's special.
All right, so what about the Cruisin the Coast folks? Do you see some of them make their way over to the Mardi Gras Museum? They should.
We do, and we love having them. Today's a great day because they're already in Biloxi, so we love to have them, and then they do come in the rest of the week as well, so we're running a $5 admission today.
Okay.
We hope all the cruisers will come out.
And what are the hours?
We're open from 10 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay. And I guess something else that comes to mind is, what about people that have no idea what Mardi Gras is and have never been to a Mardi Gras, other parts of the country? Did they come through as well?
They do. Honestly, that's most of our people. So it's really fun. People come, from the Midwest or the Northeast, and they learn all about it. They may have seen the parades in New Orleans and kind of partying, and they really learn about the history and all the diversity that's into it. It's not just about the parade and Bourbon Street.
Speaking of history, what about photographs? Do you have some photographic content as well?
We have wonderful photos. I mean, we have photos going back to the very first parade in 1908.
Wow.
It really do have a treasure trove of wonderful photographs and archival.
That's awesome. So do you have curators on staff?
Well, I'm really the curator right now, and then I have some people that do help me as well.
So you're the artiste.
I am.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How'd you get interested in that? Do you have a background in that?
I do. I have a master's in art history, and I had worked more in traditional art museums, and I started working here about 2 years ago. It's been really fun. I love Mardi Gras. I love art, and certainly costumes are a very unique
I got you.
form.
Before we go, are you native to the area?
I am. I was born and raised in Biloxi.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations on all the success. I've heard nothing but positive things about the Mardi Gras Museum, and folks need to come see it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Anna Harris with the Mardi Gras Museum here in Biloxi on the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast. We're at Cruisin the Coast, coastal Mississippi, sponsoring this. We're coming